Hi, and welcome to the Stop Chasing Skinny podcast, where every single Tuesday we interview a new guest to talk about topics to help you craft your own fit life. The title Stop Chasing Skinny comes from my own personal tagline of life begins when you stop chasing skinny. You see, I spent many years running many miles, taking many classes, and trying many diets, but none of those worked. So finally, I got down to the business of understanding what really matters. And it's not just about how much exercise you can do or how little you can eat. It's everything else that goes into it. So I created this podcast to help you so you can craft your own fit life. Every single Tuesday, you can listen to an interview with a guest, and now every Friday, you can listen to me a second time, where I take questions you have sent to me, and I spend about 15 minutes answering them. You can even feed your brain this nourishing brain food by listening while you're cooking, commuting, cleaning, walking the dog, or just about anything else, because that is how we craft a fit life. So let's get on with the show. Hi, and welcome to today's podcast episode for Stop Chasing Skinny. Today's guest is Adam Oppliger. Adam works at Fundamental Fitness here in San Diego. He is a personal trainer, but he's also a muscle specialist. He specializes in muscle activation technique. And if you've never heard of that, I hadn't either. But I'm thinking that a lot more people need to hear about it. So of course I had to have him on as a guest. Adam actually had a full ride scholarship to play Division II college baseball before he was injured. And that injury kept him completely on the sidelines. He searched through a bunch of different options for treatment. Nothing really solved his problem until he met somebody else who did muscle activation technique. So as you can see, he is super passionate about what he does and why he does it. And welcome to the show, Adam.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, okay, so let's go ahead and jump right into what you do, because it's so different from just your standard trainer, and from the testimonials from your clients, it sounds like you've helped a lot of people. So, muscle activation technique, how did you get into that?
So, I was an athlete my entire life, and I grew up playing baseball, football, basketball, wrestling, track, kind of did it all, just anything I could play, really. And when I was 17, I ended up, after a 2-day, which is 2 practices, and 1 day after a football practice, I woke up the next day and I couldn't move, and I had no clue why. It was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, and it took me about 25 minutes to get out of bed, and it was just a horrific. I could barely breathe, and I had no idea why. And so after that, I went to physical therapy, chiropractor, acupuncturist, and they all help, but somewhat, but it felt more like a Band-Aid. It felt more like I wasn't actually getting to the cause of my pain.
Yeah.
And then one of my friends knew a muscle activation technique specialist back in Bellevue, Washington. And so he referred me to him, and I went to go see him. And after the first session, my pain didn't completely go away, but I finally had a glimmer of hope. My sensation was better. And after that, I was like, I have to do this.
That's incredible. Mm-hmm. So you are a product of your own experiences. Mm-hmm. Wow. So tell us a little more about muscle activation technique. What is it? What does that look like? How do you do that?
So what it is it's a technique where I assess the human body for its range of motion. So a person's on the table, and I want to see where their body isn't comfortable moving to. And that's by looking at it joint by joint, going through the body. And then I'm looking for, so say one hip isn't able to move in one direction as far as the other one. Okay. So to me, that's a limitation in range of motion. So I'm going to look at all the muscles that help bring them into that position, and I'm going to go through and test each muscle. And the best way to explain it is it's like the battery cables to your car. I'm trying to tighten those up so that you can have better communication, because same with the car, if you can have all the horsepower in the world, but if you don't have good communication to it, you're not even going to be able to tap into that potential. So and that's basically the process.
Oh, that makes so much sense. So a client would come to see you for that, but you don't just do that. You help them in their overall fitness journey. Some people also put you in the category of personal trainer. I wouldn't, because you do so much more than just that. But let's talk a little bit about that. Like, what is your philosophy on health? You came from a background where you were a competitive athlete and you were sidelined and you had to regain your health. So how has that really helped you to figure out what this whole picture looks like?
I think being an athlete taught me, I've always had a competitive nature, and it's an amazing thing when you can apply that to sports. But I think the biggest thing that I learned, especially after being hurt, was that I'm not invincible and that I actually do need to take care of my body. And I think recovery really is 80% of health, whether you're an athlete or just a regular person going to your job at 9 to 5, whatever it is. But when you exercise, if you don't have a recovery program or you're not keeping your body aligned, whether that's by yourself or seeing another professional like myself, I think that's absolutely vital for everyone on their health journey, because life's here to beat you up, and you got to have someone to help you put you back together and keep you on the right track.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, and that's always been my philosophy too, because of kind of the same reasons, redlining life and then having to bounce back from injuries and illness due to too much. And when you're under stress from life, adding extra stress through exercise is not necessarily the most beneficial thing. So let's talk just a little bit more about recovery, because it's one of those things that we hear about. If you don't recover, you are not going to get the results. Like, what does that look like? So most listeners here are working out about 3 to 5 times a week. They usually kill it for at least an hour. Most of it is weightlifting and kind of high-intensity interval training stuff, some other various classes, cardio, that kind of thing. What does recovery look like for that person?
For that person working out 3 to 5 times a week, that is a lot, especially when you're going pedal to the metal, which I know a lot of us like to do, and it feels good, and you get to, release that pent-up stress. Yeah. But I think for those people, that just means that for someone, for example, my clients like that, I have some CrossFitters, for example, they're working out 5-6 days a week and they're going hard. Yeah. So to me, I always tell them that the harder you're going to push it, the more often you might have to come and see me, because, we got to combat, when you're out there lifting all that weight, you don't have to think about that. That should be your time to just lift weights and go hard. And then when they come and see me, we're taking apart all the pieces, and we're seeing how everything's working together, and we're trying to make sure that all the pieces are stable and they're staying in have integrity throughout their body, just to make sure that's going to help recovery in itself. Because if they are unstable, or they just keep adding stress and they don't take a look at these things, or take a look at the range of motion limits, that can turn into chronic pain and injuries and pulled hamstrings, the whole 9 yards. So yes. That's why I think it's absolutely vital. The more you do, the more you got to take a look and take care of yourself.
Yeah, so I think that's so important, because I do have clients that they get really down on themselves if they don't work out like 6 days a week. And I even have somebody else just the other day, she was freaking out because she took a whole week off, and she was like, oh my god, I took the whole week off. And I was like, I just took 5 off. And she was like, oh, but you didn't change what you look like. And I was like, no, it takes a little longer than that. So recovery is really important, so you can keep going for the long haul. Exactly. And what a lot of people miss too, it's funny you say that, because a lot of people, I have clients like that too, who if they don't work out every day, they get worried about whether it's their looks or they just get worried about it. And I go, do you understand? And they've been working with me for over a year. And I go, think about how long our change has taken. If you take a week off from working out, it might even be great for your body. Lower amounts of inflammation, give your body time to actually recover and recoup. Right. I just always have to remind my clients, I'm like, it's not going to come right back in a day. Like, you're fine. Like, you shouldn't have to feel guilty for, missing a day or missing a week. Life happens, and that's just normal. That's part of it. Yeah, no, I love that you say that. That's totally what I try to impress upon people, because it's not necessarily more is better. Sometimes that's actually the worst way you could do it. Cool, so we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be right back. Did you download the app yet? SK Fit Life has an app. You may be listening to this show on it. If not, you can. Just download the app on the website, skfitlife.com. And welcome back. All right, so let's keep talking about what you do, how you do it. When I first met you, Adam is in my networking group. I told you it's really good. But his classification in the group is a personal trainer, but he's so much more than a personal trainer. So can you share with us what the difference of what you do compared to, say, like a big box gym where you sign up for your membership and they're like, hey, go talk to our trainers. What's the difference there?
Of course. No, I think one of the biggest differences is that my process is never a cookie cutter process. Right when somebody walks into my office, my first question is, how can I help you? Because that's my one job. Whether they want to see me just for that 30-minute consultation or they want to start work with me for, preparing for a triathlon, whatever it is, the way it differs is that I customize every part of the process. And that's why at the beginning, it's a lot of slowing down, gathering information. But once we start to really dial in and find out, I get to find out what they need, and the client also is telling me information, giving me good feedback, we can get that ball rolling. And I think that makes me a lot different because I do have a process to actually check my work. A lot of personal trainers in the big gyms, they will work out with their clients and then send them off and say, cool, just let me know how you feel. And they don't actually have a tool like muscle activation techniques to see what did that do to your body. Did we do something good for it, or did we do too much? And that's just a great thing to have, because then even when we want to push it hard in the gym and I train my clients, I can always come back the next time they come in and say, hey, let's see how your nervous system is doing today, because it's going to change day to day, with life and mental stresses, emotional stresses. So when they come into me, I got to, be ready to react, but we got to find a way to, on that day, find a way to take one step forward towards their goal.
Yeah, so one of the things that one of the physical therapists that I interviewed talked about was, she was saying that the stronger you are, the easier it is to continue to train those strengths and to compensate. So if you're just going to a regular trainer, they're just training you. You're just going through the motions. But you actually put your hands on your clients and figure out, is this working? Is that working?
Exactly. And I think the big part of that, and the coolest part, is that for example, when they're working out with that trainer in the gym, it's not a bad thing, but your strengths are getting stronger and your weaknesses are getting weaker. And that's where I think that's one of the biggest things that makes me different, is that I try to bring my clients' weaknesses to be closer to their strength, as well as keep on adding to their strengths, and then being reasonable. Like I have some guys in their 60s and they want to be golfing 4 or 5 times a week, and right now I just have to say, I think we might have to pull back a little bit, and being reasonable with people and trying to find a way, hey, this is where we need to start, but I'm going to do my best and always tell them straight up what I need from them in order to help them get to their goal. And then if they value their goal truly, they'll stick with it and we'll get them there.
Yeah, and that's huge, right? Valuing your goal. Because a lot of people think that they have a goal, but it depends on how attached you are to that goal. And just looking good is typically not the best goal. There's not enough value there for a lot of people, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I think looking good too, looking good is one thing, but it's more just being happy with where you are and knowing where you want to go, and consistency and frequency is the name of the game. I tell everyone, if you want to start looking better, do 10 crunches a day for 3 months and watch what happens, and then obviously work on the diet and water and things like that. But that's a big thing about my process, is it's all about the basics. How much water are you drinking? What's your diet look like? How consistent are you with exercise? Because most of my clients actually don't even work out with me. I'm just their checks and balances kind of guy. I'm the muscle manager is what I call it.
Awesome.
So I'm walking along with them on their fitness journey, making sure things are okay, checking in, keeping them accountable.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing, is just them showing up and just trying to make the most out of it, doing their homework, doing the hard stuff so that they can go have fun.
That's awesome. So somebody could really come see you like once a month or once a week or whatever they choose to get checked up.
Depending on their goal, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Depending on their goal, time and resources. But yeah, there's always, even if they only can come in once a month, there's still a benefit to that, because the accountability and just coming in and, me letting them know, giving them home exercises, that's a big thing that I do too. Because if they can't be in here every week, then they got to be doing stuff on their own.
Yeah, and that's the homework, right? So when you're committed to your goal, you're going to do your homework.
Exactly, if it means something.
Yeah. So what kind of athletes do you work with? I think this is really interesting, because there are a lot of people who will say, oh yeah, I'll work with you golfer, I'll work with you tennis player, but really I think that's quite the specialty. Do you work with these types?
Absolutely. I have a tennis player, multiple golfers right now. I've worked with a couple baseball players, football. The cool thing about what I do is it really doesn't I'm a muscle specialist. So if you have muscles, I can help you.
I'm your guy.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of cool. So, I mean, and it depends. And then it's, my understanding being an athlete myself gives me, a better idea on, how to train or what areas to work in on people. But like I have some of my high school kids, for example, some of the best things I can give them is a light workout to just help them being able to like feel good after school and go home and write their 4 college essays. You know what I mean? Sometimes that is the biggest, it's bigger than, trying to gain muscle size that day, or, it's taking a holistic look in the long term, what's going to help them the most today.
Yeah. I love that you said that this morning in our networking meeting, that, there are these, it's that time of year where a lot of these things are due. These kids are under a ridiculous amount of stress for other things. The last thing they need is the hardest workout in the world, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that, because I think that we don't know when to pull back. We don't know when to dial it down. And there is a time for that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Exactly. There's a time to get after it, and there's a time to just check in and kind of, see how are things feeling and going through. That's the amazing part about exercise. It's not the thing that you're doing, it's how you're doing it. And that's a huge benefit of just working with any trainer truly, is the idea, the cueing. And if they're actually into it and they're not just looking at their time, their stopwatch, like actually being in tune and making you think through things and control the weights and learning how to, check in with your body. It's amazing.
Yeah, because there's different techniques to lifting. For example, I did a whole interview with the physical therapist, and she was talking about how when we grip with our first 2 fingers, it activates the muscles in the front of our arms, versus gripping with our pinky and our ring finger, which actually makes the back of your arm and your lats engage. So those are some cues that you're talking about, right?
Exactly. And then it's what are you thinking about, and then it's instead of thinking about, okay, I need to get this weight from here to here, think about pushing yourself through the bottom of the seat, for example, on a bench press. If you can picture that, you're thinking about doing the opposite. And when you set up the exercise right, it gives you a whole different sensation. And if you can hold on to that and start to actually move the weight or move the thing with the muscle you're trying to target, it's all about intention and effort. Your benefits are tenfold, and it's just amazing, versus just mindlessly going through the motions.
Yeah,
you get way more benefit out of it.
Way more benefit. I see that a lot with people, and for performance reasons and for appearance reasons, it matters for both of those.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Huge difference.
Burning fat, when you have an intention when you're lifting, it's crazy the different results. It's amazing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's why I get away with not doing too much.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, quality over quantity. Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah, it's definitely quality. And yeah, you're right. You just don't have to do nearly as much. I think that's great to work smarter in that way.
Smarter, not harder. Yeah. I think the no pain, no gain kind of mindset is, I respect it and I love it myself. I'm a big lifter, but you always got to put your pride in check, and you always, I like lifting smarter and not harder, especially when, real life, right now it's like you're busy with work, family.
Holidays.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, holiday, exact. Christmas coming up, like, and I think it's just, it makes your life it makes your life better, and it doesn't become, because a lot of people that I meet even think exercise is a drag, or it's, they dread exercise, and it's like, really, like, why do they say exercise is the fountain of youth? Like, I mean, it's the most incredible, one of the easiest and most incredible things you can do to benefit your body. It can, you know what I mean, if you do it the right way.
If you do it the right way.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be right back. You've heard me talk a lot about learning how to reach your fitness goals, and more frequently, how to look as fit as you feel, while learning to stop chasing skinny. And you've also thought to yourselves, yeah, I do want to reach my fitness goals in a shorter, more concise way, to stop wasting my time bouncing back and forth from fitness tip to fitness tip in magazines, wasting hours researching the latest and greatest diet, only to end up looking and feeling the same way you've been looking and feeling for years. And my guess is that you've been thinking about this for a long time. Am I right? I know the feeling, because I played these games too, for a very long time, in fact. I'm here to tell you this. Stop thinking and sign up for the SK Fit Life Challenge, an online training, nutrition, and coaching program that will lead you through 12 weeks of step-by-step guidance to help you finally reach your goals of looking fabulous and feeling fabulous. You're going to get to free up all the headspace you've been wasting picking through random diet information being fed to you through the media and simplifying the seemingly complicated world of health. Your chances now. Do you really need more time, more information, more plans for the future? Or do you want to become that fit person today? Because the truth is this. You can be that fit person, or you can be the person that sits around thinking about becoming fitter. It's your choice. Read more magazines, blog posts, and bits and pieces on social media, or take action. Because let's face it, if you're not where you want to be, your current program is not working out for you. I want you to be successful. And why is this? Because you've already got what it takes. You've been doing the work all along. It's just been the wrong work. You have the desire, the discipline, and the potential. Now let's get you on the right track so those efforts you are already putting in can take you in the best direction possible. Join me and the hundreds of other SK Fit Life clients for the 12-week online fitness challenge at skfitlife.com. All right, now let's get back to the show. And welcome back. All right, so let's keep talking about the clients that you work with and success and that kind of thing. What kind of people do you see having the most success?
You know, the people that come to me and are really the people who understand the why of their goal. And that's one of the first things that I need to find with a client if we're even going to start doing anything is, you know, they'll say a lot of people, I actually get a lot of people who are in pain, for example, and they'll come to me and say, well, my goal is to get out of pain. And I say, well, why? You know, like, that's not really a goal. Like, why do you want that? Is it to, you know, run that 5K that you've wanted to run for your whole life? Or is it to get back and doing your favorite sport or pick up your grandkids, get out of the bathtub without, you know, a lot of my elderly people, it's like
with assistance.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just get out of the bathtub on your own. You know what I mean? So it's like understanding the why. Those are the people that have the best success. And coupled with that, those people understand that this is a process and this isn't a linear process. You know, it's not start to finish. You're always getting better. You know, that's the cool part about what I do is I'm supposed to be there with you along your journey. You know, we're going to start getting you feeling better and you might have a setback, you know, it might be one step back, but then we're going to bump you 2 steps forward because I'm understanding your body. You're understanding my process. We're both aware. We're on the same page and we're working together to get you to what you want to be doing and keep you doing what you're doing for as long as possible because that's the goal.
That is the goal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's awesome. So you just briefly mentioned elderly clients. What is it that we do when we're younger that makes us not quite as stable as we get older? I feel like you're going to say something about some muscular imbalances as we're going along.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that's that. And, you know, a lot, for example, playing sports at a young age, you know, we all think we're invincible when we're young. You know what I mean? Of course, you know what I mean? Can't get hurt. You're like Superman and Superwoman.
Right?
Like, come on. And I think that usually, that's how the body works. The change in the body is slow, good and bad. And, you know, unless there's traumas, you know what I mean?
Right.
Different scenario. But, you know, I think of it more like, for example, my situation. I woke up, I had done 8 years of football practices. You know what I mean? I was used to it. I was always in pain. It's normal.
Yeah.
And one day I woke up and I could barely breathe and move. And it really is a ticking time bomb. And that's kind of scary. And a lot of people can make it, you know, but then they almost they become okay with being so limited, you know, like, oh, my hip is always hurt. And it's like, to a point, we should, you know, there'll always be bumps and bruises, but a lot of these people living with chronic pain don't have to be living with that, you know? And sometimes when it gets to a point, it might be even too late to even get them out of pain, but to manage it is completely possible. So that's why it really is the earlier, the better when people can come in and start, you know, taking care of themselves and investing in it, because people will invest in a lot of things, but rarely do they actually spend the money to invest in their body. And that's the biggest investment you can do.
Oh, I hear that, and I see it, and somebody will be holding like a $500 handbag and say, oh, I can't really afford to do that for my health. And I'm like, but look at your shoes. Like, I mean. Exactly.
You know, and I think, and especially when you get older, I think life just catches up to you. And that's why I think it's vital to have someone, a healthcare professional along the ride with you, someone that's checking in with you, someone that's making sure, hey, you know, they're just checking in with you, really, and they're making you check in with yourself, because life today is go, go, go. There's always something going on. We always, you know, wake up to go into sleep. Most of the people, you know, in the world now they're always stimulated, and they don't usually have to take the time to take a deep breath, check in. And I think that's honestly one of the biggest parts about being on the table with muscle activation techniques. I usually start out the session, turn off the lights, and I say, you're going to take 30 seconds and you're going to breathe deeply and you're going to relax. Like, it's,
relax.
I don't even,
relax?
yeah, exactly. I don't even know if I help people. I think it's just relaxing that
Totally
helps them. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Right?
Yeah, it's just them relaxing.
I don't know. I just laid them down and pushed on their hip with my finger.
Exactly. That's how it is. You know what I mean? But it is huge.
Yeah.
People forget it, and I think, and then you get to your older age and it catches up with you, and it's just, it's sad, but not saying that it's ever too late to a point, I have a lot of people coming to me in their 60s, 70s, and we're still finding a way to manage their pain, but because we're going back to the basics.
Yeah.
It's always this theme, you know what I mean? Whether I have a 16-year-old or a 60-year-old, always checking the basics and then working from there.
So speaking of that, what do you think about different secrets or formulas or workouts or diets, the latest and greatest, the blog posts, the Pinterest posts, the social media shares, what do you think about all that stuff?
I think that we're always, it's the whole thing where people aren't taking the time to relax. We're always looking for a quick fix. And I found that out. I remember, just to use me as an example, I got injured my junior year, and I didn't want to miss my senior year of sports. That was my world at the time. So I was looking for the Band-Aid, just make me feel better, and I wasn't actually thinking of how do I search for the cause, because that takes a long time. So I think all these new fads, new diets, the new this, new that, I honestly think they're just, we're getting so far away from the absolute basics of drinking water, and people sleeping, taking time, breathing deeply, exactly, taking care of your mind and your body. And I think we're just getting so far away from that, and we're really just covering things up.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of it's a good to a point. Sometimes you need to start with that and get that is a good motivator. And sometimes, I think the new things can be really cool, especially if they work, But, there's a lot of ways to drive a nail into a piece of wood. You know what I mean? I can miss it 5 times and hit it every 6th, or I can slowly strike the nail in appropriately and not damage anything else. That's kind of how I see it.
That's one of the best analogies for fitness I've ever heard.
Thank you.
Ever.
It's not my own. I stole it. But,
But you shared it with
I'll
me.
take credit.
I had never heard it, and I've been in this industry for a while.
There we go. It's exactly how I see it, though. I think it's just, it's you got 2 options. You can always keep covering the symptom up, or you can back up and get back to the basics and start searching and fixing the cause. And then it's easier to manage, because then when you have a setback, you're already, that's the one setback. It's not this thing led to another thing that led to another thing. It's like, we just got one thing that we need to cover up or correct. Yeah. And then you're back to functioning and improving.
Yeah, you're back on with life, with your goals.
Exactly. Yeah. Your setbacks are so minor compared to, when people, like you said, people go, and then they get on, something happens in life and say they don't get to go to their workout for that week, and then sometimes people completely stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's more of the mindset that I try to install in my clients or show them is hey, it's not a big deal. You know what I mean? What are you going to do? Stop, or you have 2 choices. You can stop, or you can get up and just start again.
Just start again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah, because I do see a lot of times somebody will, have that goal, and they're so dedicated to the goal, and then they pretty much kill themselves to reach that goal, and then maybe they've pushed themselves too far physically, emotionally, whatever. They end up either injured or sick or both, and then completely, take a jump off of that because they can't do it anymore. Maybe they're just burned out mentally, and then they have to start over. But instead of starting over with the basics, they'll start back on that next fad and go, oh, that worked for me last time or whatever, right? So that's kind of what you're saying. You're going to help somebody, just keep moving forward instead of these huge roller coaster up and downs, just a slow trajectory.
Exactly. It's just we're always going up. It might be 1 step back, but we're always going to take 2 steps forward afterwards. Yeah. And that's the big thing with the new fads, and a lot of, I call it, so there's athletes and there's real people, which I honestly consider myself a real person, where if I work out like these NFL guys do, or these, if I do all these crazy, I'm going to hurt and I'm not going to make it, you know?
Yeah.
And plus, I don't get paid millions of dollars to go, you know what I mean? Like, I don't have all the recovery team. And I think we miss that part of, like, we're real people in real life. You know, we don't have the personal chefs. We don't have, you know, so that's the huge thing is what you're in real life and working with real people. What's a realistic goal? You know, if you want to be trained like an athlete, you got to do a lot of homework before you can get there. I'm not saying no, you know, you couldn't, you know, I could if I really wanted to, but it's helping people understand what do you really want? You know, do you want it because it looks cool, or do you want it because it actually is something that you are striving to do and you're willing to sacrifice a lot to get there, you know?
Yeah. I'm so glad you bring that point up, because I do have a client, I think I've shared this story before. She was a Division I basketball player, and she was complaining to one of her coaches, and she said, she was complaining about her body, how her body looked. And her coach said, well, how would you compare yourself to Michael Jordan? And she was like, I wouldn't. Like, we play the same sport. That's about it. You know, we have different genetics. He's been doing it longer. He has all these coaches and these trainers and these resources. I wouldn't. And he goes, well, then why do you compare yourself to a fitness model on a magazine? Because that's ultimately what she was complaining about. And it just stopped her. And she was like, oh. But we do that, right?
All the time. And it's hard not to when it's all over. You know, every magazine you look at, and it's the guy with the 8-pack, and you know what I mean? Like,
I do.
It's like girls with bigger arms than you, and you're kind of like, oh. You know what I mean? Like, what am I doing? You know what I mean? But, you know, at the end of the day, though, you know, it's like, that's why it's cool, too, getting people to come in here, especially my high school kids, because, you know, like, they're very easily influenced.
Yeah.
You know, and getting them to come in here and instilling this mindset of being proud of your body right now and just feeling comfortable with yourself.
Yeah.
It's the most amazing thing. And then when you want that 6-pack, it's like, I have the map to get there. You know what I mean? So it's like, if that's really something we want, we can get there, but we got to learn how to be comfortable with ourselves right now. Otherwise, when we get there, we'll still won't be happy.
Oh, it's
you know
even
what I mean?
Scarier. It's even more empty because now you have quote unquote arrived and you're still not happy. And now what a letdown that is.
Exactly. There's no end destination. That's why I think people get mixed up. You know what I mean? It's not like, if you just keep showing up, you know, it's just the key. That's all it is.
Yeah.
You know?
Showing up, doing the basics.
90% of it is just showing up. Bad mood, good mood, any mood you're in. Just show up, do your stuff, and then working with someone. I work with a personal trainer myself as well.
Awesome.
Because it just keeps me accountable, makes me put it in my schedule, which is huge. And also the benefits I get from it, working from a professional like myself, is just, I like working out on my own, but I get way better results when I work out with them.
Yeah, because I think, you know, we also will just train our strengths a lot of times.
And we cheat, you know what I mean? We're kind of like, I'll just throw it fast on this one. You know, I won't go slow all of them. You know what I mean? It's easy.
Yep. Well, this was so interesting. Thank you so much. I want you to tell the listeners where they can find more information about you, especially in the San Diego area, because we're lucky enough to actually get to work with you. So where are you located?
So my place is on 4141 Jutland Drive, which is by Costco on Marina Boulevard, if any of you are familiar with that.
And the Harley dealership.
And the Harley Davidson dealership. You'll hear it from the freeway. But we're located there, and you can also find my address and all the information you need on my website, which is sdfundamentalfitness and .com. As well as there's always my email too, which is fundamentalfitnesssd.com @gmail.com, excuse me.
Yep.
But we're right here in San Diego, and I'm ready to help.
Cool. I'll put all that in the show notes just in case you're driving or walking, even better.
There we go.
All right. See you next week.